Hi, I'm Simon Levine. I'm a research fellow here at the Humanitarian Policy Group at ODI. I work on the Livelihoods in Crisis research for HPG, and over the last couple of years that's mainly involved working on resilience, and specifically resilience in crises and resilience to crises. Resilience has struck a chord, this word. There have been an awful lot of problems which have been endlessly discussed and talked about and theorized for very, very many years. Things which we all knew were big problems in the aid game, if you like. One of the big ones being that an awful lot of money goes into what's called development, the long-term work of anti-poverty and building up economies and things like that. And then the other one is the humanitarian or emergency world, which is responding to crises when people are hit by the kinds of shocks or stresses that they just can't cope with anymore. And those two worlds have just inhabited completely separate domains, separate universes, and haven't really talked to each other and haven't shared common strategies or languages and so on. And as I say, there's been lots and lots of talk about how do we bridge the gaps. And the word resilience seems to have succeeded in opening up some thinking, or at least bringing about a commitment to we really finally must do something about it, in a way in which previous jargon terms, which I won't tell you about, didn't succeed in doing. So if you look, for example, at people who've suffered from a big crisis and they now start to rebuild their lives, what you find is it's not something that happens in a very, very simple step-by-step way. First of all, it takes a long time. It takes people around 10 years, we were finding. And this isn't a sort of simple, slow, uphill, gradually getting better and better. It's very, very up and down. We've also seen how many different kinds of problems there are that people can face, and it's not always the most simple ones. The political agenda for resilience is that the job of development spending is to prevent people from falling into crisis. So of course the people who should be around the table shouldn't be, certainly not only the humanitarian people. So then the question is, as you say, so what is the role of a humanitarian agency? I think there are a couple of roles. I think the most important role is if you want to argue that, as I personally do, that the main job, the real moral calling for spending on development in poor conflict-affected places is to prevent people falling off the cliff, to use that analogy, then you need some people who can analyse cliffs and know where they are and what causes people to slip. And on the whole, the humanitarian world ought to have people with some expertise in analysing that. For the next 2 years, we want to take a lot of what we've learned about resilience and our understanding about resilience and bring that into the next 2-year research programme, which we'll be starting, which is around markets and crisis. And we want to think about how does people's resilience in a crisis depend upon the market, and then how does that change, how does the market change when there is a crisis, and what impact does that have on whether or not people can cope or not.